Today at Scope News, we are going to be talking about one of the most hated and loved soul foods that Black Americans eat, chitterlings, or better known as chitlins. To start with, let's imagine this. It's 1947. The voice of Sister Rosetta Tharpe crackles through a dusty old radio, her electric guitar bending gospel into something almost dangerous. Her voice is bold, sharp like fire, echoing through the backwoods of Alabama, where cotton still clings to the hands that picked it. A black man, born into a family of tenant farmers, wipes sweat off his neck with the same hand he used to pull tobacco leaves at sunrise. He's been up since before the rooster. He won't rest until the last mule is fed. His wife is just now coming home. She's been on her knees all day, scrubbing another white woman's porcelain tub, the same white woman who won't even let her use the same cup. Her back aches. Her feet are raw. But she smiles when she sees the children playing in the yard. Because tonight there's a pot on the stove. Not just any pot. The pot. The one filled with water, vinegar, garlic, and prayer. Because tonight they're eating chitlins. And they won't be eating them alone. A plate like this doesn't come without tradition. Next to it, you'll find collard greens slow simmered with smoked turkey or ham hocks. Maybe some candied yams on the side. But most importantly, hot water cornbread. Crisp on the outside, soft in the middle. Pan-fried in cast iron and stacked fresh on a paper towel. And don't forget the bottle of Louisiana hot sauce. Some folks drown their chitlins in it, others just dab. Either way, it's not optional, not in her house. And whether you love them or hate them, there's no escaping the smell or the story behind the most argued over dish in all of soul food history. Chitterlings, better known as chitlins, are pig intestines. But they've never just been about pork. They're about the struggle to hold on to something when everything else was taken. During slavery, white plantation owners kept the hams, loins, and ribs. Enslaved Africans were given the feet, the snouts, the ears, and the intestines. The parts no one else wanted. The parts considered waste, but they found a way. Mr. Norris, a formerly enslaved man interviewed in Minnesota as part of the WPA slave narrative collection between 1936 and 1938, described exactly how food was divided during hog killing time. He said, "And about our eatins, I forgot to tell you when we was talking about that. When we killed hogs, the white folks go all the good part. Least they thought that. And we got the neck bones and ears and snoots and tails and feet and the entrails. What they called chitlings. The white folks didn't eat any of that stuff till the last years when hard times begin to hit them and they seen how we fared. Now you can't get to the counters to get them things for the whites." That's not folklore. That's live memory. And it proves what many of our elders already knew. Chitlins were born out of necessity. They were the leftovers that black people weren't supposed to survive on, let alone turn into a legacy. Fast forward to Jim Crow, and chitlins were still on the table. Not because people wanted to keep eating reminders of slavery, but because they were cheap, they were familiar, and they fed whole families during the coldest, poorest months of the year. The word chitterlings goes back to medieval England. In the 1400s, it described boiled or stewed intestines eaten by peasants. The name itself came over with colonists and morphed into chitlins through black Southern speech. But America wasn't alone in eating entrails. In Spain, they're called callos, tripe stewed with chickpeas and blood sausage. In France, andouillette is a funky, strong-smelling sausage made from intestines. In Latin America, they grill chinchulines over open fires. In Korea, gopchang is a barbecue night delicacy. And in China, it's called fei chang, fatty intestines, braised, stir-fried, or served in hot pot with chili oil and garlic. But for Black Americans, chitlins were never just about taste. They were about making something out of nothing. They were about turning the scraps into something sacred, and that's where the ritual begins. Ask anybody who's been around chitlins, and they'll mention the same thing first: the smell. No matter how many onions you slice or how much vinegar you pour, you can smell chitlins from the driveway. It crawls up the walls, seeps into your jacket, and won't leave without a fight. That's why a lot of folks cook them outside, on a propane burner, out back, even in the garage. It's not just about the odor, it's about honoring the process. Some folks hum while they stir. Others sip a drink, tell stories, or keep watch like they're guarding a sacred fire. It's a whole thing. But there's one rule that never changes. You don't eat everybody's chitlins. Because not everybody cleans them right. Cleaning chitlins is a rite of passage, a full-body experience. Some people use salt, some use vinegar, others swear by lemon juice and rubber gloves, but everyone agrees. It's nasty. It's hard. It's personal. Every strip has to be scrubbed, every speck removed. And even then, some folks stretch the pot with hog maws for added texture and flavor. And just like that, you're either in the chitlin club or you're not. Because this isn't just about taste, it's about lineage. It's about the choices people didn't get to make, and the traditions they carved out anyway. Some people want nothing to do with it, not the smell, not the texture, not the memory of standing in a kitchen where the air itself felt heavy. To them, chitlins carry the scent of poverty, of having no options, of being handed the worst and expected to say thank you. But for others, it's a badge of honor, a dish that says, "We endured." A pot that holds stories, sacrifice, and the stubborn kind of dignity that never made it into history books. To eat chitlins isn't just to remember, it's to declare something. That Black culture isn't just built from excellence, it's built from endurance. From recipes passed down through whispered instructions and weathered hands. From kitchens where nothing was wasted and everything meant something. Even the parts they thought were trash. And here's the twist. What used to be a discarded piece of the hog is now sold in buckets for up to $60, especially during the holidays. In cities like Memphis, Atlanta, and Jackson, clean chitlins sell out long before Thanksgiving. They're not shame food anymore, they're big business. The same dish that once signaled poverty now rings up at premium prices. The food that nobody wanted now is sold at a high price. How ironic is that? Love them or hate them, chitlins are more than a smell, more than a dish, more than an argument waiting to happen at the table. They're a marker of where Black folks have been, and how much we had to create with what little we were given. So let us know in the comments whether you eat chitlins or not. Scope News tells the truth. Here are the facts. This report draws from what the slaves ate. Recollections of African American Foods and Foodways from the Slave Narratives by Herbert C. Covey and Dwight Eisnack, including testimony from Mr. Norris of Minnesota, interviewed between 1936 and 1938 through the WPA Slave Narrative Collection. Additional historical context comes from culinary historians Adrian Miller and Michael W. Twitty. Global references to pig intestines in China, fei chang, Korea, gopchang, France, andouillette, Spain, kalos, and Latin America, chinchulines, are drawn from ethnographic food studies, archival cookbooks, and global cuisine databases such as Britannica and Atlas Obscura. Contemporary pricing data was gathered from Southern grocery circulars, food blogs, and news outlets tracking holiday market trends for clean chitlins. Legal disclaimer. This Scope News video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes. It explores historical and cultural themes that may involve sensitive topics, including racism, enslavement, poverty, and food trauma. Viewer discretion is advised. While all efforts have been made to ensure historical accuracy, some content is based on oral histories, personal accounts, and cultural memory, which may vary by region or family tradition. Scope News does not claim to represent every Black experience, but aims to reflect and respect the truths that were passed down, lived through, and survived. The images, narratives, and interpretations presented are grounded in research, but may involve dramatization for clarity and emotional resonance.